Oh my gosh. That is disgusting. So yeah, this is apparently how a motor mount causes rough idle.
It's a brand new car.
No way.
Yeah.
You really think so?
Yeah, you're not gonna believe it.
You really think so?
Yeah. It's like the day we got it. It's 100%.
It's fixed. It's really fixed. 77,459 miles. That is the mileage on this 2005 GMC Envoy right now. And I'm about to say something the rough idle on this 2005 GMC Envoy is fixed. And it turns out it wasn't actually a rough idle. Let me back up a little bit. So since about, I want to say 40,000 miles, 37,000 miles ago, I started experiencing what I was calling a rough idle, and that's because it was a rough idle. Anytime I was stopped at a stoplight or a stop sign, in a parking lot going extremely slow, things like that, I would experience this incredibly rough running vehicle. Now I had no codes, nothing there to indicate that, hey, there was a misfire in cylinder number 4 or what have you. So I was thinking that the problem was much deeper, being that the computer itself wasn't recognizing this misfire causing a rough idle. Yes, I thought there might have been a misfire just because what else would cause a rough idle? Of course, I chased down the usual things like vacuum leaks, and there were really none that I could find. I replaced a few hoses just because. But as we all do, the moment we start sensing a problem with our vehicles, we get on YouTube and we try to figure out what it is. What are the common issues with these vehicles? Now, this vehicle has a 4.2 liter inline 6-cylinder engine, which is supposed to be pretty dang good. Now let me tell you about the things that I actually replaced based off of the research I was doing at the time. Things like, for example, the spark plugs, the ignition coils. Yeah, I changed every single one of them because, well, there was no code to tell me which one was the problem. So it was a shot in the dark, but I changed them all. And of course, there was no difference. The rough idle persisted. Then I did start getting codes for the secondary air injection system, which then I replaced the valve under the hood, and that had no change with the rough idle. It fixed the code, so the valve was bad, but the rough idle persisted. Now I also changed all of the regular sensors and solenoids on this engine that tend to go bad. Things like the variable valve timing solenoid, the camshaft position sensor. I cleaned, and I think I ultimately replaced the air inlet temperature sensor. Now I did have a problem with the fuel pump sending unit. My fuel gauge was completely off and completely messed up, so I ultimately just changed out the whole fuel pump because that all comes as one complete unit, and that's all brand new. My fuel pressure, I've checked multiple times, and the fuel pressure was fantastic always. Now the giant football-like intake manifold, I replaced those gaskets along with the valve cover gaskets. I recently changed the upstream O2 sensor because, well, I got a code for that, and that fixed that. And I also recently replaced the other parts of the secondary air injection system just to rule those out. Of course, none of these things gave me back my smooth idle. It was still rough. So of course, I'm doing compression tests. I did multiple. I did one very recently. Everything checks out. I have no head gasket leaks, but you're not gonna believe this. The one thing, a long time ago when I first started talking about this rough idle, the one thing that people were commenting and the one thing that I researched and I went, nah, there's no way. The motor mounts. The motor mounts, guys. I literally ordered the motor mounts a few months ago. I was gonna do the motor mounts. They got lost in the mail. They were supposed to be delivered on a certain day at a certain time, and then I think something with the app said that it was just missing. And I'm like, okay, I guess I won't be changing the motor mounts. I mean, it's a tough job, and I knew it was a tough job, so I was kind of relieved. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just not gonna do that. And fighting with this rough idle, and finally changing this fuel injector just a few weeks ago, I realized that maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree. Maybe I have to go back to that motor mount idea. I really started getting in tune with this vehicle, what it would act like when it was in park, when it was in idle, stopped at a stoplight, what it would act like when I put it in neutral and then reverse. And I really started understanding a little bit more about motor mounts and how this vibration was potentially coming from bad motor mounts. Had nothing to do with a misfire, nothing to do with a rough idle, but everything to do with the typical vibrations of an engine being transferred directly into the frame and ultimately into the seat that I'm sitting in, and obviously the steering wheel and everything else connected to it. So again, back to the motor mounts, I went to Rock Auto this time. I ordered factory GM genuine motor mounts. I got them in the mail, and let me tell you, those were very difficult to change. Number one, you're dealing with, well, of course, removing the nuts that hold the motor mounts to the motor. And then you have to jack the motor up out of the engine bay. And there's only so much room you have. So I had to remove the throttle body and other sensors and things to be able to have a little bit more room to jack the engine up. Now, that was scary because I was hoping I wouldn't have to take out the shock tower in the wheel well. I was hoping I'd be able to get at it from the top and get at it from the side and all that stuff. Well, that didn't work out. Ultimately, what had to be done was the engine had to be jacked up. I had to remove the shock mount inside the wheel wells, obviously removing the wheel as well, which gave me a lot more room and a lot more access to the bracket that actually holds the motor mount to the frame. Now, those were 3 giant bolts, fairly easy to take out, of course, once the wheel's gone, once the shock tower's gone. I'm saying shock tower, and I just mean the shock and the spring assembly together. Once I was able to get all of that stuff out of the way, remove the bolts for that bracket, the motor mount bracket that holds the motor mount to the frame, I was then able to lift everything out of its place, remove the motor mount from the bracket, put the new motor mount on the bracket, put everything back together, set it back in its place, and somehow tighten everything back down. Yeah, it was a nightmare and a half, but I got it done. Now, all of that stuff, my face is practically pressed up against the upper control arm. My arms are reached in to the engine compartment through that wheel well. I can't see anything. It's basically all by feel. I might as well be a surgeon. Now, after the motor mounts were in, everything was put back together. I had my wife come out because, well, I was filthy, and I wanted her to start it up. So let's get this thing started.
I don't know why I'm nervous in my
I know,
belly right
I'm
now.
nervous too. I'm nervous too. Start it up, and don't lie. Tell me exactly what you think, okay? I don't want her to try to make me happy. I'm gonna watch the engine. Watching the engine. It shook a little bit, but that might be normal. What?
I feel like it's
Oh my gosh.
I feel like it's
I had her drive it around the block, and she came back and was astonished.
Okay, she's heading out. She's gonna take it around the block.
It's a brand new car.
No way!
Yeah.
You really think so?
Yeah, you're not gonna believe it.
You really think so?
Yeah. It's like the day we got it. It's 100%. I don't hear anything.
Gosh, it doesn't vibrate or shake
No,
or.
it's so smooth. It's like, I mean, it's a brand new car. It's so smooth and quiet.
She said it felt like a brand new vehicle. I'm literally flabbergasted. I'm astonished that all of that, all of it, all of the work, the time, the effort, the sweating, the bloody knuckles, the crying, oh, all of it. And the whole time, all it was the motor mounts.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord. Yep, you're good.
Now, after all of this, and now replacing these motor mounts, I want to know what's inside of these motor mounts. And I have my saw here, and we're just gonna go ahead and go for it. I don't know what's inside. I'm sure there's some metal in there, but with the outside being rubber, let's just start sawing and see what happens. So far we can see that there's metal just underneath this rubber here. I'm gonna just keep going. Okay, this blade needs to be changed. New blade, game on. By the way, this smells really bad. There we go. Oh my, look at that. There's stuff coming out of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is disgusting. There's stuff pouring out of it. So yeah, this is apparently how a motor mount causes rough idle. No, I think my blade's dulled. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Yep, that's what the floor looks like.
All right, it's a new day, and I am determined to get through this motor mount. I went to Harbor Freight and picked up some new blades for my saw, and these ones are a lot longer. These are 9 inches, and there's 5 of them. So hopefully with these 5 blades, I can get through this motor mount. There's the old one. I have eye protection and ear protection on. Okay, I have a fan on because it smells so bad. Oh, yes. 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 Yeah. If you've ever wanted to see the inside of a hydraulic motor mount, well, there it is. And I don't even know what I'm looking at. Well, here's the old driver's side motor mount, and here's the passenger side. This is what it looks like when you cut it open. What am I looking at? I have no idea, but this is a hydraulic motor mount. So there is fluid inside that we did see pour out once I cut this thing open. I decided to get it through all the way. And yeah, this seems somewhat like maybe set up like a shock absorber, perhaps. Some kind of valving in there. Pretty cool to see the inside nonetheless. If you've ever wanted to see what the inside of a hydraulic motor mount looked like, well, here's one version right here.